Hello friends, welcome back. Before we dive into Azure services, we need a solid backend to build on. In this video, I will walk you through how we design the database, set up a clean architecture web API project for our AZ-204 app, and even used AI to generate a working version of it. Yes, tools like Gemini or ChatGPT can help, but should you rely on them? Let's explore that too and finalize our base app for the AZ-204 journey. Come, let's get started. This video is part of AZ-204 series video, and we are going to start with our base app. So this is the GitHub repository. You all know about this. So I'm going to create a new repository here just to start with. Okay. So we're talking about MentorByKarthik app. So this is a API project, and I'm going to just create just the empty repository, and we will kickstart from there. Okay. So the repository is done. So I'm going to copy this and go to my location, create a folder. You can follow the same thing, or you can do whatever you want. So basically this is how I do. I'm going to clone this. So in order to clone this, git clone and then the URL that you copied. If you do not have git installed, install the git for Windows or Mac OS, whichever you're using. Now we have the empty repository created. Okay, so inside this I'm going to kickstart the API project. We are going to use the clean architecture as our structured project. So I'm going to open up the Visual Studio 2022, which is also free, and I'm going to choose the ASP.NET Core Web API. You can also come and search here, but remember, we are going to use a solid web API project. If you are not aware of clean architecture, I strongly suggest use the previous video, the Smart Certify app, which has covered end-to-end very properly. So I'm going to follow the same thing. I'm going to put this into a project folder wherever we created, and the structure will have 4.1, right? API project, that is what you're seeing right now. You just choose whatever I'm choosing. If you are choosing 8, you can still choose it. And once the API project is created, we will also create 3 more projects that's called class library project. This project is a web project, okay, sits here. Now under the same location, we will create 3 more projects. See, this is a step-by-step guide. If you wanted to follow exactly like this, you can follow, or if you already know, you wanted to just pull up the code, pull up from the GitHub repository, you will have every single thing in place. Okay, now this is the application layer, and then domain layer and infrastructure layer. So we have 2 more projects I'm going to quickly create. Those 2, like totally there are 4 projects, right? API project is the main project. We're using clean architecture. So application layer is the one which will have interfaces and services, and infrastructure will have databases and external calls that is going outside will have those things. Domain project will have our database domain entity layers. Okay, as we speak, we are creating the 3rd project, and then the last project is the infrastructure project. Remember, except API project, all the 3 projects are class libraries. I'm using .NET Core 9. And that is how this basic template has been created. Down the line, in few minutes, we'll be creating the code based on AI. See, what I'm doing right now is giving references. API project have reference to all the project because they will eventually have the infrastructure, configuration and all. Domain project, this application project will have, dependency on the domain project. Domain project will not have dependency on anything, but infrastructure will have dependency on domain and application. Like I said, if you're not aware of this architecture, this is one of the best architectures being followed in Web API. Please follow. I will give you the complete link of end-to-end API development if you want to learn honestly. That is what you have to do. Okay, this is a base project that I'm going to show you how you can create and how you can use AI. Okay. As we speak, we are deleting all the unwanted code. And what I'm doing is just to run the application, I'm accessing the existing endpoint that was created by the template, which is weather forecast. Okay, so it works good. I'm going to stop it, clean up all of those unwanted code. Okay, and I'm going to push this template here. And once we finished, I will show you the final code that we will start as a base app. And that app is already available, will be in the GitHub repository. Okay, like I said, either you follow my video or you can just pull up the code and from there follow every single video and do it by yourself for AZ-204 related codings. Okay, now we have all of this for. Let me push. I'm adding the git ignore so that unnecessary files will not be there. I'm going to push this code to the GitHub repository. Alright, so everything looks good. I'm going to add some comment and pushed it. It is already there in the GitHub repository. So if you go to that particular MentorByKarthik API, it will be there. But this is what we are going to do. We are starting with the previous one called Smart Certify app. Okay, I'm going to access the database script and I'll explain you what it is. Okay, so I'm going to copy the script because this is what I'm going to keep this as a base for the our MentorByKarthik app. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, here if you see, all the basic tables are there, like user profile, roles, all of those things are there. I'm going to use this as a base, remove unwanted tables and add required tables. Here the database name is MentorByKarthik, and if you scroll down, we don't want course, we don't want questions. They're all related to the Smart Certify app. If you have not seen that app, that's one of the exam related, like online test taking app. I'm going to delete all of those things, keep all of the remaining tables good, because we will eventually use it for our AZ-204 example. Now here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 tables. Okay, so what is MentorByKarthik? You would have shown what is MentorByKarthik app. You would have seen that in the demo app, right? Where I will post the slots that I'm able to talk to you, and if those slots are matching or comfortable with your timing, you will gonna opt it and we gonna connect and talk, right? That's a very simple thing, and that is what we will be doing it. So I'm adding preferred language column in the user profile table, and other than that, the 3 tables that I was referring to. Okay, I'm going to copy paste those 3 tables here. Okay, so these 3 tables, if you see, mentoring slot is the slot that I create. So I will create slots, basically, like I'll say day after tomorrow during the particular date, particular time, I'm available. It could be different types, like WhatsApp call, video call, group call, or whatever it is, right? And the second one, mentoring slot request, is nothing but the table that you will have your request entered. So basically, if you say I'm opting for a particular slot that is available, then those content or those records will come into this table. Okay, this is a child table of the other one. And the last one is basically just for future AZ-204 thing, I thought it will be helpful, like session loggings. For example, during our session, if you have to add some notes, feedback, and all of those things will be added here, right? That's the idea of this third table. Okay, so which will not come into picture right now. Once we start talking, only it will come. Okay, that's it. I use the existing table. You know about this, and if you want to know about those database schemas, I have a separate video. You can refer that. Now what we are going to do is, I'm going to show you how to install the SQL Express for your local database. So you come to this Google and search for install SQL Express for Windows. So if I have Windows, based on what machine you have, you can choose it. Basically, this Express is like a minimum low version of the installation, which is more than enough for us to start with our development work. Okay, so I installed this, and after I install, a particular local version will be created. See, that's it. You just install it. It's like 5 minutes work, and you can see my local version is localhost / SQL Express 01. That's my local Express server name. Okay, now I choose master. I created the first database. Okay, so this is the first database. I mean, under that SQL Express 01, that's the first database. Okay, you can use alt X, it's not control X, which I will be correcting it. So basically, alt X is what you select a particular line of query and then do alt X, will execute it. It's a shortcut. Okay, now what we do, we are gonna choose this. See, it chose, or you can also choose here. All right, now I'm gonna select all of these tables and do a alt X. If we do alt X, like I said, it's not control X, it's alt X. If you do alt text after selecting a particular set of queries, you can actually execute it, or you can do a F5 also. Fine. See, now these tables executed. I'm going to refresh the database to see that's got created. Okay, you see this database got created, tables got created. Okay, now I will also execute this just to enter few records into this table. Okay, like I said, if you don't know this DB design, please feel free to see the DB design video of the Smart Certify app, because we use that as a base. Now I copy pasted that SQL script in this project. So under the infrastructure, under database script folder, you will see this, and this should be selected as build action none, copied none. We don't need to copy this. Okay, this is only for you guys referencing a particular script. Now what you're seeing on the screen is to delete unwanted class that is sitting in the project as the default template. Now I also added a readme file, and this is to use the EF code tool. Okay, if you have not installed EF code tool, there are comments in this file to install it. Let's not repeat these things, we have enough videos on this. So I'm going to quickly show you what is my current version, and take one of the update script, like update command. I don't need to select that, like I just need to select without a version, so that any versions will be the latest version will be updated. So it has updated from 9.04 to 9.08. You see this? Alright, so as of this recording, August 2025, this is the one. Alright, so now what I'm doing is I am copy pasting the dependencies, like the packages. Basically you can install packages by right clicking the package manager, or you can come here to this project and you can put the packages here directly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy paste the package references from the previous project to all of these 4 projects. Like I said, they're almost ditto, and our aim is to get started with AZ-204. So I'm not going to focus too much into the API project, but I will just give you what I'm doing. Okay, so you can follow along with me. So I copy pasted every single package version of those 4 projects into these 4 projects. Now if you copy this from the readme text, our SQL Express version is this name. Okay, so that's the server name. I'm going to copy this. Because you have installed .NET Core tool, I'm going to go to this entity, like the domain project location, because I want those entity to be copied here, like scaffolded here. So we are basically scaffolding the database entities into models. That's called DB first approach. Okay, and I just copy pasted everything here. I'm gonna enter it. It is going to build and read the schema from our database and scaffold the entities as the models here, and that's going to do based on what we have, and it's done by EF code tool. Okay, side by side comparison as that is building, build succeeded, and here in a moment you should see the folder coming up here. See, folder came, every single entity is added here. Now just follow along with me. I'm gonna cut this MentorByKarthik context basically here. Basically I tried to cut it, but it just moved it. We will delete that later. Here what you do, you change the namespace version here. So this namespace is lsc.mentorbykarthik.infrastructure. However you have your namespace, you can use it. I am a bit lazy, I'm not typing it, so I'm going to copy paste this one into this file. Okay, alright, so this is done. Now here control period, if you put, it will give you a suggestion because the project reference has been added properly. We pulled up everything from there. Remember, one of the users were doing this mistake. I'm not sure you are aware of it, but this is something will get auto generated and you should delete that. Okay, because it is hard coded with the credential that you have for the database. Okay, now there is some error in the end which we will correct it. Now we're going to jump into our alright, so now what else? So we have the scripts, everything looks good. I'm going to use Gemini app to generate the code. Okay, so I'm going to go to this SQL, copy the script. Basically I'm going to copy the whole database schema and see what I'm doing. So gemini.google.com, this is what I've logged in. Here I'm going to talk to the Gemini and ask for some help. Okay, so I'm saying I'm planning to build a .NET Core web API, and here is the DB schema. I'm giving as much as information as possible. Okay, I'm saying based on this, I've already set up the project with the clean architecture. Okay, so clean architecture means I'm giving information, just not asking anything. First, I'm providing all the information. I'm saying, hey, in the clean architecture, I have these are the 4 project structure, 4 application, right? The moment you give like this, it will understand. I also tell that, hey, I have already scaffolded the entities, because we saw how to do it, right? The whole idea of this Gemini AI is to generate code for all the services, repositories, and controller to see whether it works or not. Okay, and I'll tell you why you should not, like, you can ask for help but don't rely on it completely. Okay, so I'm saying, okay, for these 2 entity, mentoring slot and mentoring slot request, we need to build the controller service repository with all the possible endpoints. Okay, so I'm saying I gave the DB schema, which means it knows how to do it. I'm also saying this is my project structure. Generate the controller and services and repository code. So at least by giving all of this information, it is properly generating the code based on the namespace that we provided. Okay, so let's say I don't know anything, just using these kind of vibe codings, right? This is called prompt engineering. At least if you have some knowledge, you can start with this, and then you start copy pasting whatever it has suggested, and then obviously you need to fine tune it, refine it according to what you want. But at least if you know the clean architecture, you know where to keep what. Under the application, the interfaces will come. So I created an interface folder. I kept this interface, and we will have this interface also here. Okay, implementation we will see shortly, but let me just follow what the Google Gemini was giving me. Okay, so this is one thing, and we see services. I mentoring slot request services, which comes under the application interface folder. See, it already given as the namespace properly, interfaces, and the interfaces folder only all of these interfaces will come. So because we gave the structure, it has given us exactly what it is. Okay, so we copy paste this, and I will tell you what is plus, what is minus, and why you need to be careful with this. Okay, now we have controller. Okay, we have the service, right? So service will go under service folder under the application itself. So application layer under service folder, I'm going to create the I mentoring slot request services, or not I, like basically implementation for this. Okay, so I can copy this, I can paste it here, which means actually speaking everything will work. Okay, here is the problem. Why do we have unit of work? So if you give enough information, it just gave us something, and I'm saying, hey, I don't want this unit of work. Give me the implementation for the repository based on this context. See, why am I doing all of these things? Because I already know how to do it. I'm giving prompts properly. But if you don't know how to do it, it will either confuse you, or you will just believe whatever it is saying. Okay, you'll end up with a messy application. So it is good to have knowledge. If you want to speed up the process, you can help from Copilot, Gemini, or ChatGPT. But just be careful. So now it rewrote everything and it gave us the information. So I'm going to go now to the slot repository, change the interface that it was giving. Okay, so I'll be copy pasted the changed interfaces, right? Now what do? We take this repository, mentoring slot request repository, which is implementing the I mentoring slot request repository. I copied this, create a file under the infrastructure layer. You know that you should be knowing, like if you use clean architecture, implementation of repository will come under infrastructure layer, right? So I copy this, copy the content, and we paste it here. Okay, now here if you see few errors which we can correct it. Okay, so basically it says everything looks good, but this one is wrong. Why? Mentoring request slot request, there was a plural s. When we generated the entity, it was like this. So that was our only mistake, and this is like just to bring in the namespace of the entity framework core. But other than that, there was no mistake here. So we will just change this name Okay, so small adjustment as long as you do. See, now this one is good, repository is good, service is good. Now I think we should focus on the controller. Okay, all of these parts are good. Service is also good. So let's go to the controller. Okay, so controller is just given us a basic code operation, like create, read, edit, like update, delete, those kind of code operation. Basically now we can switch to the controller because we do not have controller code, right? So let's take the service and copy paste the service also. I'm going to copy this whole service and I'm going to replace this. Okay, so copy paste. So now service also got updated because that was using I unit of work, right? We changed to talk to the repository layer. Okay, so that is also done. Now it's controller. Go to controller, create a new controller called API empty controller, and then literally copy paste whatever it was giving. Okay, and I'll definitely explain you what it was not giving correctly, why you need to try to avoid it. Okay, so but see, this looks good, right? So these days, like I said, we should be in a good position in development, not like whatever AI is able to do. If it is doing everything what we can do, then we will become obsolete, right? So we should always be advanced to what AI is able to do. Okay, again, so we just take this code. See, configuration is not there, but we should know it is supposed to come from builder.configuration. So like this, here and there, small informations you need to change. And let's copy these two services, right? See, it is also telling that you added two interfaces services. You need to put this here also. Okay, so this one looks good. Okay, so this is good. It's asking, oh, it's in two places, right? So let's go there, delete this one, we don't need this. Okay, so it's just an ambiguity of which one to refer. It was asking, so we are saying use it from the infrastructure layer. Okay, now let's copy paste the connection string here, and the connection string, there's a db context here, so that is what we are referring here. Okay, get connection string and default connection. Actually default connection is not the name. When we copy pasted, it was just default, I think. So make sure we change it. Like I think the name is db context. Okay, so I just updated this, and I also enabled the sensitive data logging and error logging. Okay, other than that, everything looks good. Let's bring in the Swagger details, like from where I'm copy pasting all of these things, from the Smart Certify app web API. Okay, now with this basic stuff, whatever Gemini has helped us, let's see we can build this and run it. Okay, so there was one missing piece. We just need to open this connection, open this parenthesis, close it, format it, nothing else I'm doing, no fancy stuff, right? If I build and run, definitely this application should run. Okay, so let's copy this URL /swagger. Let's see what happens. Okay, alright, so at least it is able to bring up this endpoint, though there are a bunch of errors. Like you can fine tune it by asking Gemini, okay, this is the problem, that is the problem, I need this, I need that. It is going to help you, but sometimes it will confuse you. But if you look at this, what it is doing is, it is directly using the entity itself. See, it result is empty, but you can look at this. If it was supposed to give result, it will pull up all the database tables. Okay, so that is not what we want, right? Now let me show you what I have in my project, and let's see what happens with that code. So we saw how we can use the AI to generate the top to bottom code, but that may not be helpful always. Okay, so let's see how I have done it. Okay, so if you look at this, it is all same. We have context, we have repository. Okay, the only difference here is in the repository I updated many methods that is required. Okay, I have many different methods that I built because based on the requirement I have to do all of these things, so I built it. But other than that, they're all same. But these are key difference. If you go to this application, we have something called DTOs. You remember what this is doing is, we don't need to expose the entity. So basically it was exposing this entity itself. So if you come to this code that it was generating, right, what it was doing, let's say this method. Okay, if this method is returning a slot, it was returning a table entity itself. Okay, we don't need to return that kind of entity. Instead, what we have to do is we need to create like this, right? We need to create the DTOs, data transfer object, which is like less number of properties or a different namings, based on what the UI wants, like the clients want. Okay, we don't need to do expose everything. For example, let's say mentoring slot, we need to just return all of these properties. For request, we just need these properties. Okay, that's a custom made, right? They're all called DTOs. So I created DTOs in these two classes. Okay, and in the repository there are many methods. If you look at this, many methods that is returning, let's take a look at this one. So there are many methods that is returning the DTOs. Okay, maybe from the repository layer it might return the entities. You see this, it is asking for entity. What is it is returning? It is returning the slot here. Okay, it is returning the entire database table content. Okay, however, if you go to this application layer, which is here, and go to the servers called mentoring slot service, right? So what we are doing, let's take an example. Okay, we get the slot, which is the entities. You look at this, mentoring slot is the table, the actual table. However, we convert that into mentoring slot DTO. DTO table will have only these properties, but imagine what this is having. So let's say if I have this, what it is having, it is having these many things. We don't need to return all of these things, right? That is why we need DTOs. So long story short, I modified everything to have a proper coding. Like I said, this application is not for .NET Core Web API. This is our base app. Based on this, we will start building as many stuff related to AZ-204 certification coding. Okay, so that's why I'm giving it a high level. But if you're really interested in Web API, I strongly suggest follow the Smart Certified Web API start to end. It has covered every single thing that you need to know as a developer. Okay, having said this, now let's go to the controller. Okay, in controller we have this controller, which is having many more endpoints that is required for the app to function. All right, so other than that, we don't have anything else. They're all like most of the things that you will get in the initial code is required for us to start the AZ-204 thing, right? So that's where everything gets interesting from the next one. So this is the code that you will get to just start with AZ-204. Now, if you open up this website, right, MentorByKarthik.AzureWebsites.net, if when you look at this, okay, this is where it gets interesting from the next video. So now we have the base app. We will kickstart from here. Whatever is possible, we'll do here. We will start from this options where how the real world application is using the Azure functions, different functions, what exactly the app services web app is all about. And blob storage will come into picture, authentication will come into picture, where we will be using the Microsoft Entra ID Professional, right, Entra ID external ID. So all of those things, right? So we will start one by one, and as I start I will put it here so that you know which one is for what. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this video. This video is all about understanding the clean architecture at a high level. See how you can communicate with Gemini or ChatGPT or any other copilot AI agent to talk and to help you as you code along. Okay, do not rely on it completely. We will become obsolete if you rely on it. Okay, it's always to help to boost your performance as well as your productivity, not to rely on that. Okay, if you agree to this, just give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section. And if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, share this with your friends, and I will see you in the next video, and it will get more interesting. Alright guys, thank you, bye bye. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more tech tutorials. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Happy coding!